Sometimes life comes at you fast. Here I was, outside enjoying a nice beautiful day, when I see a squirrel off yonder. Naturally, I gotta throw rocks at it, because I don't have a lot in this world, but I know I'm better than a damn squirrel. Look at me, like a kid in a candy store. But then it happened. The squirrel attacked me, running up a tree branch and sinking its teeth into my leg. I didn't even know squirrels had teeth. I thought they just grinded nuts with something in their throat. I'm just glad they weren't my nuts. Hard cut to an hour later, still in the woods. It's beautiful. Look at that leaf on the ground. Trying to blow away, but just can't muster up the courage to do so. And there I go, on my walk to remember Mandy Moore. Hopefully it doesn't end the same way, but spoiler, it will. Because I've been infected with the zombie virus, contracted from a damn squirrel. I drink a bunch of water, foolishly thinking it'll drain the virus out of my system, but I knew it was over. Every second feels like my last breath. And then, boom, hit the ground like a sack of potatoes. Rising once more as something new. And now, it's time to feed.
6, 7, 6, 7. Jessica, I gotta let you go. No. Wait, Dad?
I used to be. I'm a zombie now.
Zombies don't talk!
Cap, they do in Return to the Living Dead too.
But that movie sucks!
You have a point. You have a point. I think I've just been watching too many zombie movies. That's fair. That's fair. My bad.
At least I stopped you before you hurt anyone.
Yeah. Right.
Brains. And there you have it. The story of how I killed one kid because I thought I was a zombie. It happens. If you're watching this video in real time as it premieres, first of all, happy Halloween. Secondly, you are about to witness one of the greatest 31 on 31 rankings you've ever seen in your entire life. A couple months ago, Cody Leach came to me, tears in his eyes, as people often do, and said, "Sir, Adam, would you please partake in an event where you rank 31 different movies in a specific genre and post them from worst to best? And down the road, you will partake in a spirited live debate with myself and the other movie critics attached to this project." Well, I did it. It was a great time, and I'm back, baby. The last topic was mobster films. This time, it's Outbreak movies, mainly of the zombie persuasion. I'm about to grab my shovel and unearth the dead, but before I do, if you wouldn't mind subbing to my show, Adam Does Movies, and on top of that, checking out the other movie critics that are going to be doing this thing with me. I've listed their names and YouTube channels in the description below for easy access. And one critical point of note that must be stated: people got upset with me because of some of the movies I put on my last ranking video. I have to make it really crystal clear right now. I did not choose the 31 movies I'm going to be talking about. Since I am a participant, a guest on this 31 on 31, I'm not technically in the club, so I don't get to make any determination as to what we talk about. So as I'm talking about the movies, and you notice Shaun of the Dead never comes up, don't come at me about it. Apparently they talked about it on a different 31 on 31. With all of that out of the way, I present to you my 31 on 31 Outbreak Protocol. Run it. Number 31. I watched or rewatched 30 different zombie movies for this ranking video. The only film I refused to revisit was The Army of the Dead. I had such a miserable time sitting through this when it hit Netflix in 2021. There was no chance in hell I was going back. Zack Snyder, who directed this, has completely regressed over the years. It's almost unfathomable to think this is the same guy that made Dawn of the Dead all those years earlier. Doesn't help that he wrote the script this time around. A Las Vegas setting should have been fantastic. A heist movie, zombies are coming after our heroes. But no, most of it looks like it's shot in front of a green screen. There's this ugly, new age Snyder type of visual flair he puts on it. Everything has this gross, soft focus in the background. And what in the hell is with the unlikable lead in this one? Ella Purnell is an absolute treasure, so it's quite the achievement to make her such a miserable ass in this one. Not even a director's cut could save The Army of the Dead. Number 30. 1988's Return of the Living Dead 2 takes all the fun B-movie schlock from the first, tosses it in the trash, replacing it with lame jokes and a recycled plot. It's basically the Kids Bop version of the first film. Still has an R rating, certainly not for the nudity, but what it lacks in that, it doesn't make up in cool zombie kills. There is some gore, there's a few flashy moments here and there, but overall, this is a complete misfire. Number 29. Zombie, or Zombie 2, or Zombie Flesh Eaters, there's 3 titles for some reason, hits the number 29 spot on my list, probably a controversial pick. I'm sure there's someone out there that's like, are you out of your mind? This is the greatest zombie movie that's ever lived, or I guess ever died. And I do enjoy the idea of the Walking Dead terrorizing a small island. There's a little mystery involved. But honestly, I just was very bored waiting for stuff to happen, and when it did, due to the dated nature of the film, and due to the lack of anything too interesting going on, I just found myself checking out during this one. Granted, it has one of the greatest moments in maybe all of these movies combined, which is a zombie versus a shark under the ocean. Outside of that, though, and an occasional moment where a piece of wood smashes through a person's eye, okay, short for occasionally, there's just really not much here for me. And again, I have crafted the superior list, so there's really no way for you to argue with it. That's the good part about this. Number 28. At 28, we have The Serpent in the Rainbow. And no, that's not a euphemism for deflowering a virgin or some shit. A film featuring voodoo, people being buried alive, and the greatest president ever put to cinema, Bill Pullman, talking like he's David Duchovny in X-Files, should have hit all the right chords for me. This is also a lesser-known Wes Craven vehicle. But after finishing this 1988 feature, I was craving something more. The main issue I have is it just takes too long for anything of substance to really happen. And there's too many of these little fever dreams that aren't really that exciting to watch because you know they're dreams. Lacks all tension, all suspense. The bottom line, and the top line, really all the lines, is a few good moments do not make up for this slog of a picture. Number 27. The campy Return of the Living Dead series continues with the Return of the Living Dead 3. Yet another directional shift for the franchise. This time around, it's a love story. Kurt's girlfriend, Julie Walker, dies when her ragdoll hits a tree. He then decides to bring her back to life using that tried and true trioxin, which he finds at a nearby government facility that his father works for. My man Kurt here is possibly the biggest simp to ever simp. And honestly, I don't blame him. Even in zombie form, Julie Walker is just perfect on the eyes. This film is very rough for the first half, but I found myself quite enjoying where the story was going. The zaniness really started to work. The love angle, it felt fresh, felt different than that terrible just retread of the second movie in the franchise. Not terrible, just also not really anything too great. Number 26. My ranking of Quarantine on this list is stupid because it's a stupid remake that deserves no attention. Like, the movie's perfectly fine on its own, but the fact that it is the exact same movie as Record renders it entirely pointless. Quarantine is essentially a shot-for-shot remake. It's the American version, so naturally it's a little bit longer, it's a little bit louder, it's a little bit dumber. And to me, it's really no different than all those Disney live-action remakes they've been doing. It's like, hey, come watch our new movie that is a shadow of its former self. and repay to relive your childhood, but worse. Why the hell do I want to watch a CG monstrosity of The Lion King when I got the 1994 at home? Short answer, I don't. So get that quarantine out of here. Number 25. Two things have become abundantly clear after watching a couple Pet Sematary movies. Number one, folks really need to stop putting pet cemeteries next to Indian burial grounds. Nothing good comes of that. And two, there's really no salvaging the American education system. Kids are spelling cemetery with an S. What the hell's happening anymore? What we have with the sequel is a coming-of-age story of sorts. That kid from the Terminator movie, Edward Furlong, is here, along with Jared Rushton. That kid you're almost positive you've seen in like 7 or 8 different 90s kids movies, but you can't quite place which ones. Well, I placed him here. In this film, Furlong's character loses his actress mom. Eventually, the story will circle back to this incident, but the story's really going to focus the bulk of it on Clancy Brown's character, Gus. And Clancy Brown almost single-handedly salvages this thing. He's completely over the top, funny at times, and also quite the asshole, which makes him very fun to watch. There's also a bit more violence in this one, my favorite being when the bully gets his face completely wrecked by a dirt bike wheel. I've never felt so much satisfaction watching a little shit get killed. Number 24. All right, we are at the final spot on my ranking of zombie movies I don't ever want to watch again, and this one is 28 years later. One of the most polarizing picks on my list, seeing as it's got a very high Rotten Tomatoes percentage from critics absolutely just eating this shit up. Yum. Can I watch more Teletubbies in the form of people at the end of a film? Can I see grown-ass men cosplaying as Power Rangers beating the crap out of infected? No thanks. And I know, it's only the final minutes of the film, but I found this whole movie to be kind of a chore to watch, and I was insulted by every decision made. From the goofy way that it's shot with that campy bullet time that they're kind of doing but not pulling off, to the failed attempts to make me emotionally invested in the son-mother relationship, to finally the absolutely insane choices these people would make. Delivering an infected woman's baby on a bus? Are you out of your fucking mind, lady? The only reason this is higher up on the list than a few others is because there is a decent pace to it. I never found myself being bored, mainly because I started a game early on where I would count the amount of times they yelled out Spike in the movie. Spike, look out! Get out of there, Spike! Spike! Ugh! If you didn't know, the boy's name is Spike. Number 23. Return of the Living Dead is a very unserious movie, and it's proud of that. Watching a bare-ass naked lady running around with her friends during a freak storm that's raining down trioxin from a dead zombie is a pretty damn funny idea. The highlight for me here is watching the leads attempt to kill a zombie. First they attack the brain, then they cut it into pieces, then they tried to burn it. Like, everything they do just doesn't seem to work. And I'm not sure I mentioned this, but there is a hot naked lady running around through the entirety of the film. I'm a simple man. Number 22. When I heard one of the picks for this list was Scooby-Doo Zombie Island, I was a little bit excited. I was a little bit giddy. I recall watching this movie when I was just a youngling with my folks on Cartoon Network. So I was actually looking forward to revisiting this with my kids. I'm young. We did. None of us thought much of it. I don't dislike this movie by any means. I just didn't find it to be anything special upon rewatch. As a grown-ass adult. Outside of the creatures not being douchebags in disguise for once, and a beautiful version of the theme song by Third Eye Blind, there's just not much here worth recommending. It does have nice animation. It's an easy breezy, beautiful cover girl 80 minutes long. Again, I'm young. And I suppose you can do a lot worse than Zombie Island. See Army of the Dead for that. Or better yet, don't. Number 21. George A. Romero was very much ahead of his time in a lot of ways. I love all of his different takes on the undead. And The Crazies is yet another spin on the subject matter. This time it focuses on a small town being put under martial law because the government accidentally dropped a biohazard in the water supply, simply known as Trixie. This causes the townsfolk to be completely unhinged. Think The Happening, but not dumb as fuck. They start acting out of sorts, becoming full-blown bonkers. No, that's not the word I would use. They're a bit nutty. No, that's not it either. Wackadoo? Barmy? Wild? No. Anyway, they start attacking strangers, loved ones. It's mass hysteria. This film also splits the focus between not just some townsfolk, but also the first responders, trying to figure out a solution to this utter disaster. It's a very cool concept. It feels a little small in scale for the story being told. Crazy. That was the word I was looking for earlier. Crazy. Number 20. Got those crazies in me going back to back. We're going back to back. Another crazies on here. This time, the remake? What? Ahead of the original? Judas! I have it just tippy top above the original because, frankly, it's better. This time, Sheriff David is played by the dreamy Timothy Olyphant. Because the budget is larger than $25 this time around, and this is a modern film with modern technology in 2011, it's able to do a lot more with the material. We get to see the full chaos on display. This town is completely ravaged. I think it was also wise to get rid of a lot of the government shenanigans, keep that behind the scenes, focus more on the townsfolk. We get to see more of the crazies. It leads to some more horror scenes. It leads to some more thrills. Plus, I like that the military stuff is kind of menacing and almost more intentional what they did. As a bonus, this is a very slick looking film. The house burning at the beginning has this haunting beauty to it. People often say that about me. Let's move on. Number 19. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug. I only bring that up because I watched Reanimator for the first time, and I was not quite as high on it as a lot of people led me to believe I would be. As it stands, the dark humor, the special effects, greatly appreciated by me. But I just don't get the massive love that this one has. Perhaps it's for the smoking hot lead that always manages to get her shirt off, or maybe it's for the unhinged medical professor turned mad scientist. You know what? It's probably for the fantastic performance by Jeffrey Combs. I'm starting to realize why people really like this one. And that's why it's number 19 on my list. Number 18. 1989's Pet Sematary has not aged like a fine wine by any means, but the wild premise keeps it interesting. Add in an undead cat, sprinkle in a very disturbing looking Zelda, and mix around an old timer who gives far too much information away for no reason at all, and you have yourselves a perfectly watchable zombie film. If nothing else, watch it for the sage wisdom old Judge Crandall gives. Sometimes dead is better. Good old Judd. We have fun. Number 17. Found footage is certainly not my favorite style of filmmaking, but I think Rec, short of course for recognition, really utilizes this approach. Helping matters is we have a very cute, very likable lead named Angela. She's going to be guiding us on a tour of this apartment complex that's getting more and more infected by the minute. The place is under lockdown. They do not want this virus to spread, hence why the remake is called Quarantine. No idea why this one's called Rec, short of course for Reconcile, but I also don't speak Spanish. I think they do things a little differently over there. Number 16. I think for every successful remake, there's like 30 failures. While the 1990 version of Night of the Living Dead in no way, shape, or form overshadows the original or the contributions it made to the genre, I found it to be a pretty solid watch all the same. The core concept is still intact. Much like the hit arcade game Altered Beast, zombies rise from their graves and terrorize a group of folks held up in a small farmhouse. The difference here, outside the fact that it's now in color, is that the helpless shell of a woman from the original is now a full-blown, strong female lead in this new entry, and quite frankly, it's about time. I'm actually happy with this change, not because it rights some wrong from the original. No. I think it's great because it gives us a different story. Retelling the same story, doing another shot-for-shot remake is so boring and unnecessary. At least this one takes some chances and goes different directions with the material. All that said, I almost didn't get to the scene where she becomes G.I. Jane because the first 30 minutes, this woman is screaming her lungs out and it's making my eardrums bleed. She mercifully turns this around before I got to my controller. But dear gods, that beginning stuff is brutal to listen to. Joining her on this misadventure is the horror icon Tony Todd as Ben. As always, he's terrific. Unfortunately, Ben does die in both versions, but again, the way this one approaches it is quite a bit different. Instead of surviving the onslaught only to be killed off by your fellow man, he is turned off camera into a zombie and is mercy killed once the humans show up. And they probably did this because the film came out in the 90s. They no longer have that layer of social commentary on this film, so they changed some things around. Number 15. I watched the Grindhouse double feature in theaters when it hit. I'm young. I remember not having a very good time. My wife certainly didn't, as she cussed me out the entire ride home. Why did you make me go to that? This was terrible, Adam. Don't worry, we're no longer together. I took care of that. She left me. No, we are still together. We mended things, and I found myself mending a relationship with an old fling as well. Planet Terror. I think Death Proof turned me off of ever watching Planet Terror again because I just did not like that film at all. But rewatching Planet Terror was an absolute blast. The B-movie inspired retro look, the crazy ass kills, the odd fetish with men's balls, and an awesome Bruce Willis cameo kept this thing fun from beginning to end. Plus, not hurting anything, you have some smoke show women throughout this film, with Rose McGowan stealing every scene she's in as Cherry Darling, and that's before she straps the machine gun to her stump of a leg. She absolutely owns that stripper with the machine gun slaying zombies look. Sorry. Go-go dancer with a machine gun killing zombies look. Gotta have some respect for that community. Number 14. I recall not thinking much of 28 Weeks Later when I saw it in theaters a million years ago. The rewatch, however, proved to be a much fruitful experience. Maybe it's just simply seeing Jeremy Renner shoot things with perfect precision that makes me feel this odd level of comfort. There's a surprising amount of actors in this film I did not pick up on the first time around. My favorite is always the lovely Rose Byrne as Scarlet, doing her best here to get two bratty kids through the war-torn streets of the city and to the rendezvous point. And speaking of the kids, that is the weakest point of this film. Not so much them, but the plot revolving around them. Because this whole thing could have been avoided if these two idiots didn't decide, in their infinite wisdom, to sneak out of the city and go back to their childhood home where their mother was supposedly killed. Except for she wasn't. She's been there this whole time. What's more perplexing is the military watched them leave, just was like, kids being kids. They then finally intervene far too late, take the infected mom, put her in a room in isolation, and then station exactly 0 security guards outside the room. Naturally, the husband, Don the douche, who lied about her being dead, goes to pay her a visit. One hot kiss later, and he's infected, along with multiple city blocks and growing. Rough setup aside, the action is intense as hell. And we have camera work here straight out of Bourne Supremacy. That will definitely be a turnoff for some. But for me, now it's really the only way I can achieve climax. My favorite moment from this film is watching Michael from Lost pilot a helicopter, positioning it so the blades lawnmower cut off the heads of each and every infected it comes across. Cinema, baby. Number 13. George Romero goes all in on zombie carnage in 1978's Dawn of the Dead. It's not my favorite of his films, but I really appreciate where his head was at. Putting a small band of survivors inside of a mall keeps things fresh, keeps it interesting, and it also makes for some nice smaller moments where the humans interact on a more personal level. They go out for dinner, they go ice skating in the ice skating rink inside the mall. That was actually a thing at one point. Now it's actually amazing to see other people in the mall. But yeah, Romero uses up the kill count in this one, with several sequences, especially in the later half, that are straight up carnage porn. This one has unfortunately shown its age quite a bit for me. That's why it's not even higher on the list. Number 12. On the much less popular side of things, we have the cult classic Night of the Creeps. This puppy released in 1986, and up until a week ago, I had no idea it existed. And man, was it a pleasant surprise. I really enjoyed James Gunn's Slither, thinking at the time it was a very unique, highly original concept. So imagine my surprise when I gave him credit he did not deserve. After barely digging into this, I found out he's a big fan of Night at the Creeps, and it was a very big inspiration for the slug aliens he uses in Slither, which also go inside people's throats and control their brain. And even though I still prefer Slither over Night at the Creeps, I cannot deny how great this movie was to watch. And it really sets the stage right away when you see two aliens running down a third one on a ship. He gets to the door and launches out this missile containing more of its alien race inside. The film will eventually circle back to these aliens again, on the lookout for that missing canister, but just what a fun project that they brought to the table here. It's got hot college ladies, an alien invasion, some gross kills. What's not to love here? Number 11. Zombieland 2 is the definition of not striking while the iron is hot. Coming out a full 10 years after the original, but unlike a lot of other comedies that take their sweet time doing sequels, this one still fires. This cast effortlessly falls back into character, plus you have another hilarious Bill Murray cameo to end things. The end credits for Zombieland Double Tap are amongst some of the funniest you'll ever see. Watching Bill Murray casually murdering people while saying his catchphrases from old films, whilst Kenny Loggins' I'm All Right is playing, oh my god, I mean, it's about as good as it gets, folks. This movie adds more to the zombie rules, it gives us new types of zombies to dispatch, and the inclusion of the bubbly Madison was a very nice touch. Not so much the hippie guy. I've never thought hippies were funny. I was also bummed out they separated Little Rock from the main squad, especially when we've only seen these guys one time before. Would have been nice to get the whole band back together for the majority of the film, but regardless, this one still worked very well for me. Number 10. I don't know how popular of an opinion this is, but it is the correct one because I, again, have the superior list. But I firmly believe Day of the Dead is George A. Romero's best zombie film that doesn't have night in the title. This one's fun because the world is already completely boned. So instead of focusing on that, we're gonna go down into a bunker with a group of survivors working for the military on a mission. And that mission maybe started with finding a cure, but that ship has failed. So instead, there's a crazy-ass scientist trying to figure out how he can utilize zombies for his and, I suppose, the rest of the world's benefit. I think he's just off his rocker, though. Dr. Sarah Bowman is really the show here. She's a bona fide badass who's got her work cut out for her, because not only have the soldiers hit their breaking point, she also has to play nice with the scientists through all of this. I thought the story was really well done in this. I enjoyed seeing zombies possibly getting learned behavior. I like how they had to constantly put themselves on the line to trap more of these things so the doctor could get whatever he needed from them. It was just very different than a lot of the other zombie stuff I was watching. Number 9. As fun as it can be to change things up, there is nothing I enjoy more than a good end of the world scenario. Mainly watching it unfold on camera. Oftentimes though, we get the story from the perspective of it already happening. Probably because to show it happen costs a lot of money, one that World War Z definitely threw at the camera. This is a big ass horror spectacle, and we're gonna have front row seats to watch Brad Pitt try to get his family out safely. The movie does unfortunately lose a little bit of steam when it gets to the final act and things slow down. It turns more into your standard zombie stuff. As we watch our heroes slowly weave in and out of corridors, voiding zombies and trying to find a cure. That said, when this movie's popping off, it is popping off, baby. It goes from 0 to 100 just like that. And if you thought The Infected ran fast in the 28 franchise, holy shit. The World War Z Infected are not screwing around. These things will dogpile on top of each other as human ladders to get up higher. There is large scale, and then there's World War Z. Number 8. Speaking of fast zombies, speaking of 28 Days Later, here we are. Now, this is not the first movie to show dead people running. It's certainly the most popular. It definitely put it on the map as an idea. We're gonna follow the always likable Cillian Murphy as Jim. He's a hospital patient that woke up in a worst case scenario. The world is in shambles, his parents are long gone, and unbeknownst to him, Rick Grimes would steal his story and use it as his own. Many years later in The Walking Dead. 28 Days Later already has an interesting premise, but it goes a step further, films the whole thing in a very unique way. With everybody's favorite, shaky cam. That's right, we traded in those trusted Hollywood camera operators for your Uncle Terry, who did a hell of a job rocking that camcorder at your wedding. I'm being dramatic, it's not that egregious, but it does have that found footage style without the gimmicks. I think it really helps pull you in more, it gets you connected with the main character Jim and some of the people he's gonna come into contact with, then you can get sad when they all start to get picked off. I did enjoy the optimistic ending it had, and thankfully the follow-up 28 films have not ruined that yet. Number 7. Those with a weak stomach may not agree with my number 7 spot, Overlord. This is a crazy ass ride, folks. Set in a small French village during World War II, a group of American soldiers are going to find themselves behind enemy lines. Their mission, even if they choose not to accept it, is to take out a radio tower. But once they step inside that fortified base, they're going to find something that's both going to shock them to their core and give them even more ammunition to kill these Nazi scum. Because it turns out they've been doing a lot of experimentation on the local townsfolk. Experimentation, short for experimentation. And one of the things they've developed is a serum that resurrects people from the dead. And not only that, gives them superhuman strength. And honestly, kind of turns them into dicks. Overlord has a ton of action, some incredibly gory kills, and it is not for the faint of heart. Thankfully, I had mine removed several years ago. So I love it. Number 6. I don't think I've ever been hoodwinked by a movie before, at least not near to the level I was after watching One Cut of the Dead. Holy hell, this was a fun experience. I watched this film with my son. I heard it was great, but I really didn't know anything about it. After 20 minutes, I turned to him and I'm like, dude, I'm about ready to shut this off. It is garbage. He fully agreed. We pushed forward 10 more minutes, and that's when something crazy happened. The credits ran. I turned to him and I'm like, at least it's short? This doesn't make sense. It says there's still another hour left. Well, that's because there was, fam. Because you see, the first 30 minutes wasn't the movie. It was the movie inside of the movie. I don't even know how this movie got pitched, but One Cut to the Dead is a film about a director and some actors making a zombie short movie that's supposed to be a one take that goes live on television and during which zombies attack them. But it's actually layered more than that, because after the initial 30 minutes, we go into the behind the scenes making of the one take and find out everything that went wrong, which led to all the awkward dialogue, bizarre choices, cheesy action, weird camera shots, and all the other fuck-ups we see in that first 30-minute run. It's brilliant. I was laughing my ass off with my son watching this thing, mainly because it addressed every single issue I had with the short. It was all done intentionally. I don't know if this works for everyone, but I think fans of movies, people that love watching the bonus features on old DVDs, behind the scenes purists, will really eat this type of movie up. And it's such a rare movie because it makes that first 30 minutes so much better on a second watch, because now you can laugh along with it. Number 5. There is nothing quite like Brain Dead, or Dead Alive if you're in America. As fun as I had watching One Cut to the Dead with my son, I had an even better time watching Brain Dead with my daughter. This is a disgusting, disturbing love story about a mother's boy who falls for a girl down at a local shop, but is still very much attached to the hip to his mom, as she's referred to in the film. This is Peter Jackson at his Sam Raimiest, and I'm here for it. There's a nice Easter egg early on where these explorers go to Skull Island, of all places, to retrieve a rat monkey to put in a zoo. Obviously, Peter Jackson's been a big fan of King Kong for a long time, so it was nice for him to be able to make his own version of it down the road. This disgusting claymation stop-motion abomination bites Mum at one point when visiting the zoo, and she starts to have some mild reactions to the bite. Pretty standard stuff, some dizziness, itching, flaking, ear falling off into the soup, at which she eats again, boils, pussing, popping, falling into other people's soup, which they also eat at the time. And then she inevitably hits the final stages of the virus, which, of course, turn her into a 3-story kaiju, looming over her once beautiful home. This film is off the wall nuts. And the tone is preposterous. The only other Peter Jackson movie I could even compare it a little bit to would be The Frighteners, a movie I absolutely adore. And it's mainly for the way he uses these untamed camera angles that are zooming in, flying all around the room, giving us these hilarious close-ups of people, and just having this very offbeat comedy that I absolutely eat up. Number 4. Speaking of comedy, in my number 4 spot is Zombieland. It's funny, it's clever, it's action-packed, it's not even 90 minutes long. It gets in and out, knows exactly the type of story, the type of tone it wants to tell. We have a ragtag group of survivors that play off of each other perfectly. I get a kick out of Emma Stone and Abigail Breslin constantly bamboozling the two dumbasses, played by Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg. Woody steals every damn scene in this film, just chewing up the scenery with his acting. His crass demeanor paired with his kill first, ask questions never really does wonders for a film about zombies. He does have a softer side too, which gives him some good dimension. He likes to enjoy the little things, which usually are in the form of a beautiful soft yellow Twinkie. Jesse Eisenberg brings everything together here as the nerdy rule follower that's kept himself alive. The most important rule of all being the double tap, making sure you kill that thing and make sure it's dead. This film's got very slick production, over-the-top kills, a surprising, heartfelt third act twist from Tallahassee, and that's all going to culminate in Zombieland getting to the number 4. Number 3. Here we are, folks, the top 3. And of course, since my list is perfect as always, we have Train to Busan. Are you looking for a feel-good zombie story? Well, look the fuck somewhere else. Train to Busan is a video game escort mission, where a pretty crappy father tries to get his poor kid across a city infected with zombies. The majority of this film is going to take place on the train, hence the title. And the acting is all very much on point, but I have to give a special shout out to that little girl. Holy shit, she freaking dominates in this movie. To be fair, she's very little, so she probably was legitimately scared out of her mind watching a bunch of grown adults acting like rabid dogs. I am very much a sucker for a father-daughter, father-son, father type, getting a kid to safety. And if the father grows over the course of a story, that's even better. I'm also a fan of a really evil bad guy, and holy shit, do we have one here. This guy puts the douche in douchebag, locking people out of safe rooms, turning people against each other, and even getting a poor conductor killed after he tries to go save his ass. I have to say though, what the hell was the conductor thinking? What a stupid move. Oh, I'm already on the train, it's left, I see one jackass running across, I'm gonna get out of the moving train? What? Anyway, the story effortlessly weaves the survival aspect with small character moments, which helps flesh out their backgrounds, gives the story some dimension, and it doesn't feel forced. The bottom line here is this is a damn fine film, from the front of the train to the back. Number 2.
Back in my mind, I was always saying, better them than me.
I don't want to die here.
Yeah, I don't want to die here either. Granted, I do run a YouTube channel that has very little respect or notice, so basically dead inside already.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to say I like that you guys give 100% in your roles and you play this very seriously. You're not going all cheesy with things. And I respect that, and I applaud that. I stumbled on my words a little bit, but we're gonna push through it, because these things are a fucking chore to make.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Thanks, guys. In the number 2 spot is Dawn of the Dead. Romero walked, so Snyder could run. 2004's Dawn of the Dead is fucking awesome. There is not a more eloquent way to say it. It has everything I look for in a zombie film. The gore, the kills, the unnecessary nudity. But what really helps this one is Zack Snyder did not write it. James Gunn had that honor. And both of these gentlemen are really in top form here. Probably because they still had something to prove. Snyder, for instance, keeps things very practical with his effects. Not everything's shot in front of a goddamn green screen for once. And Gunn keeps the story moving with some clever dialogue that feels different depending on the person talking, and certainly doesn't seem like an online chat between two 7-year-olds playing Roblox. While it does share the mall setting from the original, handles it very differently. My favorite is the inclusion of the survivor across the street. I love how they communicate with whiteboards, they play some chess, they even play a game of zombie celebrity look-alike. Cast is excellent. Even the unlikable ones are likable, such as Modern Family's Ty Burrell, or Michael Kelly's CJ, who has a glow-up redemption arc by the time this film winds down. Dawn of the Dead has both my favorite intro and outro on this list too, which is high praise because I talked about the Bill Murray credit scene a while back. Watching Sarah Pauli's Anna fleeing from her neighborhood and her recently killed zombie husband is very intense stuff. Then we get this bird's eye view as you see the destruction riddling this entire city. As a bonus, there's the end credits, giving us a little insight to how the survivors are doing. Spoiler, not well. In fact, one could argue, based on their situation, that sometimes dead is better. And sometimes a remake is too. Number 1. I don't think you can have a credible ranking if you do not put Night of the Living Dead by Romero at the top of your list. This is the quintessential zombie film, folks. It started it all. Night of the Living Dead came out in 1968. It's in black and white, and it still kicks ass. Mainly because it's more than just a film about people surviving a zombie apocalypse. There's some layer to this tale, and this film subverts the audience's expectations so hard Rian Johnson creams in his pants just thinking of the script. Because even though this story starts with a young white couple trying to survive in a cemetery, following this woman as she makes her way to a farmhouse, the story pushes her aside in favor for a black man. Skunk dun dun! Yeah, Night of the Living Dead is woke as fuck. This was the 60s, folks. Racial unease was still very much a thing. It's not anymore. We fixed it. It's over. What Romero did here is use a zombie outbreak as a backdrop for social commentary. And he was pretty damn brilliant for it. Because you think the lovely Barbara is going to be the hero of this story, the main protagonist, but she ends up being a sad sack after about 10 minutes, stiff as a board sitting in a chair in the corner. It's hard to stress how ahead of the game this movie was. It devastated audiences when they saw this in theaters. People were not accustomed to the good guys losing, especially on a scale like this, where literally everyone is dying in front of them. And this ending hits even harder when we find out Jones's character, Ben, is found to be the sole survivor of this catastrophe. He makes his way upstairs where he's, boom, gunned down by the obnoxious posse that's been going door to door clearing things out, not hesitating for even a second before pulling the trigger. On top of the cultural significance and the fact that it kicked off an entire genre of film, is the fact that it's still damn good. This was an easy watch. It helps that it's in black and white, so it's able to mask a lot of the imperfections and some of the lack of effects that they had at the time. Yeah, there's some contact issues here and there. People fall over kind of in silly ways once in a while. Some of the punches thrown don't seem very impactful. But overall, this is a classic for a reason. One that is absolutely held up over the years. And it's easily the #1 on my list. Simply out of a tip of the hat respect I have. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it. The 31 on 31 is completed. This is obviously the superior ranking you're gonna find. I would be interested if you humored me though and put a list down below. I don't expect that you've seen all of these movies, but maybe just rank off your top 10. Make sure once again to sub to not only my show if you enjoyed the commentary, but also the nice gentlemen I have listed off in the description of this video. Look for their videos if they haven't popped up yet, and I would be pleased as punch if you joined us for the conversation whenever that is down the road as we go live and talk about our lists and get that master ranking. And I imagine there is going to be some heated conversation about it. Okay, that's all I got for you. Hopefully I see you next time. Take care. Oh, wow, you're still here. Well, since I have you, maybe think about jumping by the old merch store, Adam Does Movies, and pick up one of these Adam Does Movies Halloween tees. It's got Jason on the cover there on the logo, a little Friday the 13th inspiration in time for the holidays. On top of that, maybe think about becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies to really help support this one-man band. And that way I can afford to actually put out some candy this year for the trick-or-treaters and not just an empty pumpkin with a sign that says "Take one only." Implying that some fat little crap took all of them and left right away. Okay, that's all I got. Take care.